Jennifer, would you like to read question number 8, the excerpt, a couple of sentences of question number 8?
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay. What is the nature of the mind? What is called mind is a wondrous power residing in the self that causes all thoughts to rise. Apart from thoughts, there is no such thing as mind. Therefore, thought is the nature of the mind. Apart from thoughts, there is no independent entity called the world.
If you can make this our practice and try and associate with this axiom, this teaching, that what I consider myself to be, what I consider my world to be, what I consider to be the events of my life, attributions and definitions of my life, is nothing but my own thoughts, my own definitions. I exist as an entity away from the ultimate reality, separate, divisible, miserable entity only because of my thoughts. If I don't have the thoughts, I cease to be this limited entity. That is my gateway to the wide expanse of the nirvana, of the Brahman, of the reality, of the self, of the soul. And therefore, I must begin in this life to diminish my thoughts. I must catch hold of them and not be attached to them. There's no need to negate them, but don't be attached to them. Bhagavan has said there's no entity called the world apart from your thoughts. Somebody asked me this week, again in a conversation one-to-one, how do we see the world as unreal or real? How do I see a real world? Question was very nice. I said, when you look at the tree as yourself and say, I didn't contribute anything to the growth of that tree, just as I don't contribute anything to the growth of my own body. That's reality. What force contributes to the existence of things that I call nature? That nature is reality in the form of my relationship with it as an unreal world. That's why I say I like this place, but I need to go to the Bahamas or to the Hawaiian Islands or to the Alps because that's my limited way of looking at it. It's my thoughts that make me go hither, thither, above and below. And I should begin in this lifetime to mitigate them, to control them. That's all we can do. That's all we can do.
Hi, Bandru.
Yes, Namaskar, Peter.
I wonder why I see anything at all when it's just a creation of my thought.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead. That is
That's
true.
all.
That's true. That's good. Why do I see anything at all? If you can get to that stage, it'll be a wondrous state. Therefore, that's a good segue into the next question. What is the path of inquiry? Sandra, would you kindly read number 9?
What is the path of inquiry for understanding the nature of the mind? Of all the thoughts that arise in the mind, the I thought is the first. It is only after the rise of this that the other thoughts arise. It is after the appearance of the first personal pronoun that the second and third personal pronouns appear. Without the first pronoun, personal pronoun, there will not be the second and third. Arunachala.
Yes, thank you, Sandra. Thank you. The I, the limited I, continues with me all the time. It's everything about me. Limited I. So caught up with it. Yet I understand it, and yet I do not leave it. I stick to my ego. I let the ego become me. That's why I am the first person, and everything about me and everything attached, connected with me, not attached, connected with me becomes the second and third person. My likes, dislikes, attributes, everything. Doesn't leave me. But I've been given the intellect as a human being to be able to disassociate from this world. Asango ham asango. Punah punah. Unattached I am, unattached I am, unattached I am. I don't need to be detached because I'm not attached, I'm unattached. Just as I did not know my entity until I was born, until I was given a name, but I existed even up to 2.5 years, 3 years. I didn't know who I was. Just as, see that period as the previous life or the next life. Hundreds of thousands of lives we have led, and we are caught up in the same rigmarole, the blasphemous things, the cacophony of sounds, frivolous activities. Kriti Mahodado Patana Karanam. He says in the very second verse of Saram that we did, why do you immerse yourself in this vast ocean of activities? Don't you know whatever result you shall get is going to be impermanent? And top of that, Gati Nirodhaka. It is going to be a hindrance to your spiritual progress. And yet we continue to do that. If we practice this kind of contemplation of who am I, then we can begin to disassociate from my definitions. And my second and third people begin to go away from me. I begin to give less importance to the externalizations of my first person. And then once I begin to do that, then my guru comes closer. I have to just take one step. He comes closer, grabs me like a tiger, grabbing my neck and coming into the grip of the jaws of a tiger. Then I begin to diminish all my attachments because he takes them away. And initially I am despondent, I am confused. Why is this happening to me? But if my practice, my contemplation is deep, then I begin to understand that as the blessing and not my having won the lottery as a blessing. It should not be about me. My life should not be about me. My life should be the way to diminish the second, third person's importance, to eventually diminish my own importance, is to do things for others rather than expect others to do for me. We couldn't do enough in this lifetime, even if we did every moment of our life for others. We wouldn't have caught up with even 1% of what we've already taken from others. I've taken so much, and I continue to accumulate that for me. My benefit, I should get more, I should get more. That I forget to feed the birds, I forget to look at a lame dog, I don't even care about it. I say, get out of my way. I forget that the same creation has created that life which created this life, the same breath runs in that body, whether it be a frog or a deer or a tiger or a human being or a tree or a plant or a bird or an insect. None of us will be called alive until that breath was flowing through us, and none of us will be called dead unless that breath stops. And that clarity doesn't dawn on us quickly. All it requires is practice. My untenable, my absolute discipline of contemplation doesn't mean a ritualistic discipline, just every day looking at it doesn't flip. I had a devotee here, she was visiting me and we were just talking, and we were talking about very similar thing. Just this past 2 weeks, 3 weeks, people have been visiting. I was giving examples of the breath again, that unless the breath stops, I said, we were just chatting. I said, we don't recognize. Like I am very fond of asking people, what is it that you're doing to keep yourself alive right now, exactly at this moment? Tell me. Nobody can answer that question. Everybody thinks of something about good health or good food or good deeds or good something about themselves. And we were just talking, and she suddenly said, but why do you keep saying breath? Why don't you say liver or heart or brain? And I said, see, that's the obfuscation, that cloudiness is not going away. I said, even when a doctor in the hospital, who is nothing but a collection of some kind of knowledge which he thinks is greater than God's, I said, even when your liver fails or your pancreas fail or you have a glioblastoma and your neurological functions are failing or your heart stops, they don't declare you dead unless your breath stops. They put a cause for the breath to stop as cardiac arrest or heart failure. But those are all terms. You will still be called. That's why they have artificial respiration, right? That's why you sign a DNR, do not resuscitate my body. People are alive in hospitals for 6 to 8 months, 10 months, years. They're not declared dead, they're vegetative. So that breath is the link from previous birth to the next birth in one sense. But unless your breath is functioning in the body, you're alive. Definition of death is not conferred upon you unless the breath stops. So it's the same breath that continues my life whether I'm healthy or unhealthy. The breath remains the same, just as the self remains the same, no matter whether I'm dreaming or walking in the park. Same reality.